Good evening and welcome to another episode of Your Family Lawyer with yours sincerely, alright, Egbe, family lawyer and counseling psychologist. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to discuss the issue that is trending in Nigeria today. If a court, alright, if a court can order a couple to marry or to divorce. Mind you, the things that I share here on Your Family Lawyer are just for educational orientational purposes. So you don't regard it as legal advice. It's not legal advice. I do not intend it to be legal advice. So I suggest that if you have any legal question, you ask a lawyer who is closest to you, or you use the details of this particular episode to reach out to me. Right? So the question is something that is simple. Can a court in Nigeria order two people to marry each other or order them to divorce each other? Is it even possible? Can something like that ever happen? Now, there's a gist that is happening right now, which is a very extraordinary case. Like I don't want to say I'm embarrassed, but it's close to that. So let me say I'm shocked. Now, what is that happened? Is that recently a magistrate court in Kano ordered two TikTok content creators, right, to marry within the next 60 days. And the next 60 days is following these allegations that they shared videos that deemed indecent and immoral on social media, right? So now the court then directed the Kano Hisba board to oversee this marriage, right, to be in charge of this marriage process, and one that should this couple fail to comply with the court's order, right, they will be held for contempt of court. And that's very strange. You are finding that very, very, very strange. Now, why I don't understand that if I get the story correctly, the order follows the allegations brought by the Kano State Films and Video Censorship Board and other authorities that the TikTokers had produced and distributed videos considered immoral and indecent under state laws. So I have seen some of those videos, right? So I went on social media to check for some of those videos, and you'll see the couple of acting as though that they're a couple, the two people acting as though that they're a romantic couple, as though they're in a relationship. And now this magistrate court, surprisingly, not a customary court. If it was a customary court that was, oh, maybe it's trying to evoke the customs of the people. If it was a Sharia court, I'll say, oh, maybe it's trying to evoke what Islam says. But this is a marriage magistrate court, and I don't understand this basis. Well, but that's the situation. Order the two of them that see, because of the way people have been acting as husband and wife or romantic partners, people have been acting as lovers and the rest. You should get married, and you should get married within the next 60 days. If you do not get married within the next 60 days, it will be contempt of court. Now, the Nigerian Bar Association has responded to them, but then I want to just ask a question because people have come to ask me, can the court force people to marry each other, or can the court insist that they divorce? Now, you should get it straight and clear that the court actually does not have the power because of people's freedom, constitutional right of liberty and dignity to person, right? One of the most important things when it comes to marriage is that of consent, is the consent of the two people being adults, that is, they are old enough to get married based on the respective marriage laws, and two, they consent to the marriage, right? They consent to the marriage. So if the two people are adults, for example, when it comes to marriage, but one or the two of them do not consent to the marriage, you cannot force them. It's a constitutional right, it's a human rights issue. You cannot force person to become a member of a marriage that the person does not want to become. It's just the same way the court cannot force you to remain married to someone if you don't want to, right? In reality, the court cannot force you to say, oh, you must remain in this marriage. Yes, when it comes to divorce generally, you are required to prove certain things. There are different grounds for divorce. There are many grounds for divorce. There are different grounds for divorce, right? And the Lord says that, of course, we know that the bottom line ground is that the marriage has broken down irretrievably, right? Now, the thing about it is that if you say, oh, I'm asking for divorce, on the grounds of the fact that my husband beats me, or the fact that my wife is adulterous, the law will expect you to prove that allegation. We expect you to prove that accusation you are having against your spouse. If you do not prove it, the court will say you have not been able to show, you have not been able to prove, you have not been able to convince the court about this particular thing that you have said. And because you have not been able to convince the court will not grant the divorce. Whenever, if tomorrow you can prove it, you can come back to court. So if you are unable to prove a divorce today, you can file again the next day. Interestingly, no law forbids you from filing again the next day. So the law will not force you to be in a marriage, but it says that if you want to leave, whatever ground you are bringing up, you should be able to prove it. You should not just say something just because you want to say it. You should be able to show sufficient reason to prove that particular thing. Although, even if you say you are falling out of love in Nigeria, you have to prove what you mean by falling out of love. And what is it that has happened that has made you fall out of love, or what is it that your partner has done that has made you falling out of love with your partner? Right. So when it comes to marriage and when it comes to divorce, the court does not have the power to say you must marry, you must marry this person, you must marry that person. And so that's why we're embarrassed. That's why we are shocked that it's a magistrate that makes this decision. The reason why we are most shocked is because if it was a customary court of appeal or maybe a Sharia court, maybe they would have said the person does not have a law degree, the person never went to the law school, the person never practiced law. But this is somebody, for you to become a magistrate, it means that you are a lawyer and you must have practiced law for at least some years, right? And now coming to give that kind of decision and claiming that if these people do not comply, that it will be contempt of court. I'm wondering, like, what was the magistrate thinking? Like, what was actually running through the magistrate's mind? Did he forget that he was a magistrate? Did he forget what his responsibilities are and what the law says? Now, we should understand that every individual in Nigeria possesses that fundamental right to enter into a marriage contract based on their free will and their full consent, right? So, because why? Within Nigeria law, ensuring that neither party is forced or coerced into marriage is something that is a big deal. We have had people who come to who ask for divorce, and this is the reason why they are asking for divorce is because they were either forced, they were coerced, it was under duress, they were misled, and none of that. And that's what this magistrate is trying to do. The judge, I don't know anywhere in the world. Well, maybe some places in the world where Sharia and Islamic law operates, maybe in those places. But now, this is Nigeria, and the constitution is more important, is bigger, is a grown law, overrides every other form of law. And I wonder which law. I have not seen the certified true copy of that particular order of the court because I'm not thinking, wonder what law did that magistrate give that particular order, right? Because marriage in Nigeria requires consent and cannot be valid where there is force or deceit. Now, where there is no free consent whatsoever, there is no marriage. And the Supreme Court has heard it again and again that even when it comes to customary law, it is basic, fundamental that the couple consents to it. Yes, it is the father of the bride that will take the bride price. And this is what we're talking about customary law. It's the father of the bride that will take the bride price. But you say the bride will have to consent to it first. If the bride does not consent to it, then whatever bride price her father collects or whatever is a representative of father collects is unlawful, it is illegal, right? Now, under Nigeria civil law, forced marriages is just illegal and can carry jail term for 7 years. That's an interesting thing, right? When it comes to statutory marriages. So I'm still wondering what the magistrate was thinking. It's like the magistrate has forgotten of his law books. It's like he has forgotten what the constitution says. Um, I'm asking myself, is it that the couple did not take their own lawyers, like they did not take their own lawyers and the lawyers did not argue the constitutional realities and also all the customary realities? It's because right now I'm thinking and I'm finding this very, very strange because part of the rights, right, that the Constitution of Nigeria guarantees is the right to dignity and the right of liberty and the right of freedom of association. So based on that, you cannot force two people to get married. I know you may have seen this right now, you're confused and you're wondering like, can these two people get married? My friends, No, 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 no. And I'm so happy that the Nigerian Bar Association, which is the NBA, has condemned the court's order and it has described it as a very grave misunderstanding of judicial authority, and it is a violation of constitutional rights. It's simple, it's clear, and that's because there's no court in Nigeria that actually has a power to compare any person to marry another, right? Now, the marriage by its own nature is supposed to be voluntary. Yes, there's no law that insists that you must marry, and there's no law that insists that you cannot stay single. But you can choose to be single, you can choose to be married. No law stops you from doing any of them. Right? So we don't understand with like because see, marriage by its very nature is a voluntary union between two consenting adults, and cannot marriage cannot be imposed as a form of punishment, as a form of moral correction, as a form of judicial remedy. Like, because you have to correct somebody, punish somebody, or do some kind of remedy situation, you now insist that people must marry. No, you cannot force people to be married. So it is unconstitutional, it is unlawful to force two people to marry or to force two people to divorce. The court does not have that power. Now, it violates the fundamental rights of personal liberty and dignity. It contradicts the principle that marriage requires uh, free consent of both parties. It treats marriage as punishment or corrective measure rather than as a voluntary union. And this conflicts with every law that we understand. Yes, Kano State may have Sharia law operating there, but Sharia law does not supersede the Constitution, right? Sharia law does not supersede what the Constitution says, right? So it is their freedom. It is the Constitution protects this. My name is All Right Egbe, your favorite family lawyer and counseling psychologist. I want to say thank you so much for joining me this evening for this particular episode. All right, next week I'll be back here at the same time discussing another topic. And if nothing new comes up that we need to address, because this was not the topic I wanted to talk on today, but because it's something that is trending right now, I decided to address it. All right. Now, if nothing happens that will require a quick intervention to educate you and maybe give you the legal reputation of that, not like that happens. Next week, I intend to talk about pre-divorce blues, right? Pre-divorce blues, how to handle it. Because again and again, we get to see people who suffer pre-divorce blues, like your partner has wronged, has erred, has violated the marriage, has violated you, is not willing to work on the marriage, is not willing to apologize, is not willing to remedy the situation, is not willing to change behavior or character. This person says, I'm not to leave the marriage because this marriage is bad, it is toxic, it has broken down irretrievably, and it is practically unreasonable for anyone to expect me to continue living with this my spouse as husband and wife. And yet, you still see that person suffering some level of depression, suffering some anxiety, suffering some blues. That's what I'm going to be addressing. How you are going to deal with that, because in reality, you will deal with that. Thank you so much for following me. You can use the details on this particular episode to reach out to me, right? Or you can find a lawyer that is close by, that's near you, to help you with your legal matters. And share this with your friends so that they get to learn the same things that you are learning. You're all.